In this tutorial, we will learn about the various ways you can edit your images in Capture One for iPad. I have some images here to edit and a batch of images I'd like to apply a style to and copy-paste some additional adjustments. But let's begin by looking at how Capture One is set up for editing. Over on the left-hand side, there are different tool categories. The first for style rating and color tags. Moving through to styles and presets. Shape-based tools like rotation and keystone. Our main adjustment tools like exposure, contrast, white balance, and so on. And finally, refinement-based tools like sharpening and noise reduction. Let's begin with this image. First of all, I'd like to apply some cropping. So I'll go to our shape-based tools and reposition the crop a little. If you want to find various different aspect ratio presets, you can do so on the right-hand side here. Next, I'll make some basic adjustments to exposure. So by selecting exposure here on the left, I can then use the control wheel to brighten my image. If at any point I want to reset, I can double tap in the center here and it will go back to 0. So I'll brighten that again once more and then change to my HDR tools and pull those highlights down to get a bit more detail and open the shadows slightly. If you'd like to see exposure warnings, you can turn them on from the menu up here on the right-hand side. And now by adjusting the scroll wheel once more, you can see those highlight warnings on the brighter areas in the background. To see a before and after view, I can long tap on the photo and I can see before and after. If I double tap, that will take me to 100%, so I can check and observe focus. If you'd like to see the photo in full screen, you can just tap once to hide all the tools. Let's move on to our second photo. I'll show you an alternative method of making adjustments which can be useful when using an Apple Pencil, but it's not a requirement. First of all, I'm going to move the tools to the right-hand side, which I can also do from this menu here. This means with the tools on the right, and of course that I'm right-handed, I can access the various different tool categories like so. So first of all, I'll apply crop. This time I'd like a square crop. So I'll choose that here and then reposition. Now the alternative method means that I don't necessarily have to use the control wheel. What I can do is on any given adjustment, for example, let's take rotation, I can long tap and then drag up and down. That will adjust the control wheel, which you can see moving on the left-hand side. So I'll apply this rotation like so, and then I will go to exposure, and then long tap, and then as I slide up, that will brighten. As I slide down, that will darken. Of course, if you're not using an Apple Pencil, you can still do the same thing with a tap and a slide as well. So let's adjust this photo to around here. And then going to HDR, long tap again, open up the shadows a little, and then apply some clarity. So you might find that a better alternative than the two-handed method. Let's also look at creating a variant. Long pressing on any photo will bring up a few options. One of these is New Variant. This will create a virtual copy with no adjustments applied, or if you clone the variant, that will create a virtual copy with the current adjustments applied. So I'll go ahead and clone this variant. Now you can see represented in the browser, variant 1 and variant 2. This is very useful if you're not quite sure how you want to edit your photo and you might like to experiment with a few different ways. Finally, on this photo, let's take a look at the color editor. I'd like to adjust the tone of the wall in the background. So if I choose the color editor, I can either pick the relevant color I want to edit on the left-hand side, or I can choose the color picker and then place this on the color I'd like to edit. Capture One will select the patch for me, and then now I'm free to adjust lightness as an example, saturation, and let's go a little bit darker once more. To pick another color, I just need to select the color patch once more, and then I can choose one of the alternatives. Finally, for this sequence of photos, I'd first like to apply the same style to all of them, make some adjustments to one of them, and copy that across to the rest. First of all, I'll select all the photos and apply a style. I'm going to go for Copenhagen 1. I'll cancel off my selection and then make a few additional adjustments. I like to warm it up a little, so I'll increase the white balance. I'll also open up the shadows slightly and apply a small vignette. Next, I'd like to copy those adjustments to the adjustments clipboard. Clicking on this icon here will copy those adjustments to the clipboard. And if I wish, I can modify the contents of the clipboard and remove any of the adjustments that I don't want to be pasted. For now, I'll cancel out of this one and select the pictures to copy those adjustments across to. Then all I need to do is apply those adjustments. Once again, if I cancel off that selection and open any of the other pictures, you can see they've had those additional adjustments applied, for example, the vignetting.